Hello there, my name is Ismail. Welcome to another Blender tutorial. We are going to try and create these literal briefcases or suitcases, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, without further ado, let's just dive in. You can see the keyboard shortcuts that I'm using here, down here. So yep, I finally got that enabled. Yeah, so let's dive in. So first of all, let's get the shape, the basic shape. I'm just going to create this first one, and maybe the other ones I'll do a time-lapse version of tutorial like I've been doing. So let's get the shape here. So this is more like a rectangular shape, so we can scale this down in the z-axis and maybe in the x-axis twice. So that is s, then the direction, and then 2 for the amount of scale you want to do, and we have that. So I'm going to first do this bottom part here. So let's give these rounded corners. So I can select these edges here, shift to select to do a multiple selection, then shift B to bevel. But before we bevel, let me see if I can show you this. You see how the bevel is kind of non-uniform. It's kind of stretched in the Y in this direction more than in this direction. Maybe I will just undo this. So if you're seeing that, you should just hit Ctrl A to apply the location and scale. And then if we bevel again, you can see they're all the same size in all directions. So that's what we want. So Ctrl B to bevel that, and then use the middle mouse wheel to give it more resolution, maybe about there. Right now we can turn on some, let me turn on cavity and random colors. Yes, so let's add some details, start adding in some details here. This ring here. For that, let's just get this bottom part. Let's just get this loop here. Alt, make sure you are in edge mode, and then Alt select, then Shift D to duplicate, then P to separate that object. So you can see we have that, but I only want the edge loop. I don't want the face, so I'll only delete the faces. Then I think I can let's see, extrude this in the Y direction like that. But you see, it is intersecting with this other mesh, so you can just, do we need, I think it's okay if it does, because we need to add in those other lines. So we can add a loop here, then select this entire loop, just hold on, go to face mode, and then hold on Alt, and then right select that loop. Then you can use this extrude along normals to extrude. Okay, so we are having a few issues here, so undo that, then select everything, Shift N to recalculate normals, and let's try this again. Then extrude along normals. Yeah, so that fixed it, but we don't need it to be that much, so just a little bit of protrusion like that. We can also select this entire loop and use the shortcut Alt S. This will push the selected faces along their normals so that they are no longer intersecting with the mesh. Alt S. I think around that is good enough. I think we can turn on subsurf for both meshes, so I can add a subsurf modifier here, subdivision modifier. Don't worry about that. So what we can do, if you see that it's collapsing like this, you can add a bevel modifier. Make sure it's above the subdivision, and we can use the limit method, set it to weight, so that we can use the bevel weights to mark where we want the bevels. This will stop the mesh from collapsing. I guess we can also just delete these top faces, because we're not going to be using them, and that should also fix it. So if we remove this, it shouldn't collapse anymore. We just need to turn on smooth shading. Let me save this before it crashes. So I'll call this retro suitcase cases. So also we need to add a subset for this, and also turn on smooth shading. So we can also Alt S to push this a bit out. And now for this we need to add the bevel modifier. Make sure it is above the subdivision, and turn the limit method to weight. Now we can go to edge mode by hitting 2 on your keyboard, and select this ring here. Control E, bevel weight, edge bevel weight, set it to 1. You can see that edge is now more sharp. We also need to add a loop here. Extrude along numbers. Sorry, use Alt S to scale along the numbers, or you can just do a regular scale. So S, then Shift Z to scale along in the X and Y plane. See, we have that ring there. We need to do the same. We need to bridge this, add another loop here. Control B for the bevel. Go to the bevel options. We need only 3 segments like that, and we can scale along the normals again for this. Then select these two, Control E, give them a bevel weight. Okay, this is a little bit sharp, so we can scale them in the Z axis, give them a bit of room. And maybe what you can do is also bevel this. Control B. Control B. But we only want 2 loops. Let's try only one segment. Let's see. Let's play around with the profile. Okay, so because we only have 1 segment, there is no need. We don't have to play with the. I'll also scale this along the numbers again. I guess we can also scale this down so that this protrudes out even further. Again, it will depend on how detailed you want to be, but I want to be fairly detailed because I'm going to be selling this. So push this down, and then let's see, extrude again down, and we can select this loop, extrude along normals. Not by a lot. And now we can select this loop and then push it down a bit. Then maybe not that much. Also make this, give this a bevel weight so that is sharp. Then yeah, you can choose what to do with this bottom part. So I'm going to close it. So I'll select the entire loop. You can see the shortcuts I'm using down here. Then F to close that, to make that a face. Now I can join these. I can connect these points so that we don't have such a big end gone in our polygon, in our mesh. I think that's good enough. No one is going to be seeing that bottom part. I think this extrusion is too much, so I can select this ring. Maybe let me select also this bottom part, scale it down a bit, then select this ring, Alt S, push it back inside just a bit. Maybe that's, I think that's good enough. Maybe what I can do is go to wireframe, and push this up a bit around there. I think we are good. So this is what we're going to be using for the top as well. So we just need to close this off so we can use a solidify modifier. Give it a good thickness around, I'm not sure, around there. So you can see there is the corners are getting too rounded off, so we can go to the object data and under normals and turn on auto smoothing. You see it will give us that smooth shading, but maintain all the sharp corners. So we can also give it a bevel. Should we? And we don't. We shouldn't. We should not. Maybe add a loop there, and then add another loop there. I don't know. I'm tempted to add a loop, to add a bevel. Let me add a bevel here and see. So if you add a bevel just directly like that, you're going to see that you start seeing facets around these rounded corners that we don't want. So what you can do is make sure that you turn the limit method to bevel weight and then select, because if the limit is set to none, all the edges will be given a bevel, which will make these rounded corners look kind of jagged and take away that rounded effect, roundness. So we just need this to be the bevel to be applied to the outer loops. So let's give them a bevel weight of 1. Now let's see if this does anything. So I think it's not working because of this solidify modifier. Maybe it doesn't have a way of handling that. So what we could do is apply this, but I think this thickness is quite too much, so we can reduce it to about that and then apply. And we can make sure that this subdivision surface is below the bevel modifier. And now these edge loops that are selected, we can give them a bevel weight of 1. And maybe we can turn off this auto smooth, and let's play around with the bevel width. Let's first turn off this subdivision surface, and let's also turn back on flat shading so that we see the bevel. So it seems the bevel is already applied, but we just need to play around with the width. So let's try 0 and see. 0.1. Let's try 0.01. Okay, then we're seeing it 0.05. That's too much. Now we can turn on this sub-surf, then turn on smooth shading. And maybe we can also turn on auto smooth. Now we have that, but this is too big, too tall, so we can push it down a bit like that. And if you want, I'm thinking maybe I should just, okay, so this also, let me go to top mode. I need to add, if I scale this, there is some kind of impression within that, so we can insert this again, hit I, you can see the shortcuts down there, then push that up, and this loop here can get a bevel weight. Control E, bevel weight. Make sure we have more shading. I think this is a bit sharp, so we can scale this. Yeah, I think that is not bad at all. You can duplicate this and flip it to the top, but because we're going to be applying the same textures to the up and down, let me just use Alt D to make an instance of this. So Alt D to duplicate, Control M to mirror that in the Y axis, in the Z axis. Maybe move it around there. For this here, I will just use Shift D because I want it to be a separate object, not an instance, because I need to move it to scale it down a bit around there. Can again move it around there. Now we have that. So let's work on these locks and see. So for this, let's just add a plane, Shift A plane. I'll rotate it 90 degrees. Can bring it forward a bit just to get the scale of things. Think around there, maybe scale it and zoom in a bit. I will add mirror modifier. We are making this thing here, so maybe pull that up. Can also add another loop here. Scale in the Z, make it straight. Scale this like that, and maybe let's add a loop here and another one here. Now we can delete these vertices to get that. Now if we add a subdivision surface, we get that. But let me see. You can also bevel this, Control B, to get something like that, but I don't need this extra vertex, so I'll merge that. We can pull these down a bit, double G to move them along the normals, along the edge they're connected to. Maybe I can scale this in the X direction as well, something like that. Select these, scale them in this direction, add a loop here, add another one in the middle, pull this out like this, Control B to give it a bevel, increase the resolution. Let me see, wait. Control B. Let's just give it 2 segments only. So something like that. I guess we can also use a bevel modifier here. So vertex mode, bevel weight, Control E, bevel weight 1. We have that. We can also add a support ring, a support loop there to make this more rounded. Right click, smooth shading. So we need to give it some kind of volume, so we can add a solidify modifier, give it more thickness to around there. Maybe you can push this above the bevel modifier. The corners are getting rounded off, something we don't want, so we can go to that object data and then turn on rounded out of mouth. We still see some facets, so you can try playing around with this angle until you get something that you like. Let's see, let's add these. I'm not sure how they're called. So we can just do Shift A, add a circle, go to this align to view, reduce the resolution. Let's use only 6 vertices, scale it down, move it into position. Okay, where is this? just need to extrude in the Y direction, turn on smooth shading like that. We don't need this extra face, we can delete that. Select this again, Ctrl L to select the connected mesh, Shift D to duplicate it. We have that. I'm not sure how this lock mechanism works, but we'll try. Let me just, instead of creating a new mesh, let me just duplicate this, Shift D, and select this edge, extrude it, pull it out like that, select this face, and just push it down like that. So we have this. So we need to make these, give these a bevel. Control B, 1, Control E, bevel weight of 1. But we need to round off these corners, so we can select these edges, then Control Shift B. We have something like that. Maybe we can also just connect these to this, and it will act as a support for those corners as well. So let's see. Yeah, it works. Maybe we add a loop. Can add a loop, a support loop again. Something like that. Something like that. So maybe bring this around. You can also just extrude this. Let me first isolate this and make sure there is nothing on the inside this side. Okay, we need to delete these inside parts. Now we can select these here and use that. I'll scale it up a bit and maybe give this a bevel weight. Let's make sure that this bevel weight is working. Bevel weight is supposed to be above the solidify modifier. And let's see, what should we... Okay, we need this ring to go all the way. Control E, bevel weight. So let's add this, I think, key or whatever thing is that. Instead of adding more polygons, I'll just make this smaller, then Control B to bevel this, and we can match this to that. Maybe join that, match this to this, flatten these up. Maybe reduce the size a bit as well, something like that. And we can also add, no, we don't need to. Then X to delete. Now we just need to give these supporting edges, so we can select these, extrude in the Z direction, then select those edges, Control E, give them a bevel weight, something like that. Now we can select this here, Control E, Shift D, duplicate that, scale it in the Y and X plane and Z plane like that. Now we have our first lock, and we can select this, shift, since our cursor is in the middle, we can just change this set origin to 3D cursor and then add a mirror modifier. And we have that. What else can we do? What else? Okay, we need to do this handle. So for the handle, we can start with this mesh here, Shift D. I'm not sure why it's delete. Shift D. Grab in X direction, like that, and we only need this part here. Just need to change the shape a bit, so we can select this here. Make it smaller, and we don't need this inside this. We don't, first of all, we don't need this. Let's delete that. Also delete this here, and everything needs to go back like it was. Can also remove this bevel weight. And we can scale this around there, and I think we can remove this edge loop and this here. For this, we won't need the solidify modifier. And what else don't we need? We don't need all of these loops like this here. We don't need that. We don't need this either. So this can be pulled back, extrude. Now we can select this face here, insert, and then push it out a bit around there. Let me see what is not working here. Let's reduce the width of this. So if you want this to be even sharper, you can also increase the number of segments. And maybe we need to turn off this auto smooth. Go back to vertex mode. Let me. It appears to be too sharp for me, so let me reduce the number of segments, something like that. Also, we need support lines. Let me first straighten these up. we need support lines for this here and this, something like that. And maybe we can also scale this around there, but they are too big, so we can also scale them. Maybe just instead of scaling, we can just move these closer to this, and because if we just scale it, it will distort the entire mesh. So something like that. Now these don't need to be now we can select, we can use these like this, then select these edges, Ctrl B to bevel. Now we also need to add edge loops, bevel weights for these edge loops. Ctrl E, bevel weight. If you want, you can also just Shift D, rotate in the Y direction, rotate in the Z direction 90 degrees. Now this here. Shift D, move that there. So this is supposed to be around there and there. And we have one step closer to our handle. So let's do the handle. Let's add plane 90 degrees. Bring it forward. Let's add a mirror modifier for this. Let's scale this down, move it around here, scale this face around here. Let's think. Okay. So extrude, then extrude up. I think we can select this, make it fit that position there. And then make sure you apply the scale. Then we can select these two, Ctrl Shift B to bevel those corners like this. But before we do that, let's push this. Should we? Let's see if I dissolve these vertices, these two here, dissolve vertices, then first join this, Ctrl B. You can do something like that. Maybe scale these in a bit like that. Round this off further. Now if we add a subdivision surface, maybe this can be pulled. I think that's good enough. We just need let's see, select this, extrude, scale it, then extrude like that. Now we can extrude like that. You don't need this face. Delete that. We can add a bevel weight for this bevel weight. Let's make sure we have the bevel modifier there. Turn the limit method to bevel weight. Make sure the width is about 0.01. I don't know why this width varies a lot for things to work the way it's supposed to work. So let's first apply the scale and see again. 0.1. I don't know. Okay, maybe we can also add a loop here. Pull this around like that, and maybe add another loop here. Select these. And can also select that. Control E, bevel weight. And let's play again with this and see. Yeah. So I think this has a really big thickness, but what we can do is select these faces here, insert them, and then Alt S to push them out along their normals. You can use Shift to slow down the movement around there, and we can also select this middle loop and push that out as well a little bit further. Also, we need to come back here at the center of the mirror modifier, turn on clipping, mirror clipping, and delete faces again, then scale in the x-axis. We need to remove this bevel weight here. You can also push this in a bit. I think that's good enough, but this still has quite a large thickness, so we can select this entire loop, then bring it closer to that, and maybe move this just a bit, and these edges also can be let me turn this off. These edges also can be moved up just a notch, and we have that. So we can also, I think, select this ring, then extrude along normals, just a bit like that, maybe by a bit more. Yeah, so something like that. We can also select this and that, Control E, and we have our handle. We can also move the cursor around there so that this is the pivot point of our handle. Let's scale it down a bit so that it fits the scale of our briefcase. Maybe even scale it around there. We need to mirror this in the Y direction. We also need to move this around there. Yeah, so we have our briefcase. If you want, you can also just duplicate these, move them to the back, Control A, mirror them in the Y direction. Okay, where are they? Okay. Mirror them like that, and maybe we can delete these here. And basically use the same thing for the back side. And then we can select and we have our briefcase. So in the next lesson, we'll look at how to texture this and add those same lines. Yeah, thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and if you want to download any of the models you see that I've made, you can just go to my CG Trader account or my Patreon account and get them there. Thank you.